I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is Currents.
A journey of faith, walking with St. James to St. James.
We're all going to be walking. There'll be hundreds of people here today, walking to St. James Cathedral.
Raising awareness about an often misunderstood form of birth control.
We can't separate the fact that sexual expression is both an expression of love between the two, as well as something that's open to the creation of life.
Plus, we'll get a peek at the Pope on vacation. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. Soaring temperatures and soaring emotions this weekend as hundreds of people hit the streets to take part in a unique pilgrimage in honor of St. James.
He's one of the patrons of Brooklyn. The cathedral, of course, is named for him, and so members of the Cursillo Movement marked his feast day by traveling to several churches for what they called Peregrinando con Santiago, walking with St. James.
For many centuries, there were three places in the world, the most important ones for pilgrimages. One was the tomb of St. Peter in Rome, the tomb of St. James in Santiago de Compostela in Galicia, Spain, and the empty tomb of Jesus in Jerusalem. For many centuries, pilgrims walked crossing Spain, even crossing Europe, walking.
We want to try to symbolize that here in Brooklyn, just to let the people know that it's special for us because St. James was one of the apostles of Jesus. We want to try to walk because pilgrimage is walking, and that's the same thing in our lives. Just we want to show our faith every day.
In 1948, 100,000 youth of Spain tried to have a big pilgrimage to St. James. But before that, since 1944, they start to have classes to train the people to be leaders of pilgrims. And that was the origin of the Cursillos.
We are trying to do what we did 60 years ago when they started in Spain. We're all going to be walking. There'll be hundreds of people here today, walking to St. James Cathedral. We have an average of maybe 10,000 Cursillistas that are in the diocese. We have 6 zones because it's a very large diocese. There's about 60 churches, Catholic churches, which have the Cursillo Movement.
Estamos celebrando la peregrinación a Santiago.
We are celebrating the pilgrimage to Santiago, and for us, remembering that pilgrimage that gave birth to the Cursillo Movement, that has been the source of strength to many families here in Brooklyn and Queens. And this makes us feel very happy today.
Contentos, felices este día.
El caminar en este día.
Walking today is a sacrifice for many people because the temperature is so intense. It is going to be a way of witnessing that we are Catholic Christians and, above all, the commitment we have with our diocese.
I think this is a great way of celebrating this year and showing everyone that we're all united in one. One Spirit, one God, one Church.
May this pilgrimage bring us closer to Christ, closer to God, and therefore closer to one another as well.
¡Viva Santiago! ¡Vivan los cursillistas! ¡Vivan los cristianos! ¡Viva María Santísima! ¡Y viva Cristo Rey! ¡Y de colores!
Well, stay with us. There's much more currents coming up. We'll have the day's headlines, including news that illegal immigrants have started to flee Arizona ahead of this week's crackdown. And we'll also get a glimpse at how the Pope is spending his summer vacation. We have that and more when we come back. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Coming up in just a bit, how one Virginia community is dealing with a controversial immigration law.
But first, let's turn to the day's headlines. Another controversial immigration law is set to take effect Thursday in Arizona, and reports say a large number of undocumented immigrants are packing up and leaving the state beforehand. Reuters reports dozens of illegal immigrant families in the Phoenix area held impromptu yard sales over the weekend, trying to unload their belongings and head back to Mexico or to bordering states. Arizona Senate Bill 1070 will make illegal immigration a state crime and give police the right to ask for proper immigration documents if there is a reasonable suspicion a person might be in the country illegally. A Florida church plans to mark the anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks by burning copies of the Quran. Dove World Outreach Center pastor Terry Jones is the author of a book called Islam is of the Devil, and the Gainesville, Florida church displays signs in front of its buildings bearing the same message. Jones says organizers of International Burn a Quran Day got the idea from a recent Facebook event, Everybody Draw Muhammad Day. Local Muslim leaders fear the burning of the Qurans could increase tensions between Muslims and other residents. A pipe bomb exploded outside an Islamic center in Jacksonville, Florida in May, but no one was injured. Government figures show nearly 90% of Americans identify with some religious group, but a new survey finds only a small number consider their faith a top priority. The study by the Barna Group found just 12% of American adults say faith is a top priority in their life. Among Christians, the survey found evangelicals are the most likely to say faith is their highest priority, while Catholics were the least likely to espouse that belief. So, what is the highest priority in the country? 45% of Americans say their top concern is family. The Catholic Church in Scotland is defending asking parishioners to pay to see the Pope during his September trip to the UK. The pontiff will celebrate a public mass for 100,000 people in Glasgow on September 16th. Attendees will need a pilgrim pass to gain entry to the event, and church leaders suggested a donation of £20 for each pass. A spokesman for the Scottish Church says no one will be forced to pay, and any money collected will be used to cover transportation and other costs.
Pope Benedict expressed sorrow and grief today in light of the deaths of 19 people at a music festival in Germany. Up to 400 people were reported hurt during a stampede in a foot tunnel. That tunnel was being used to access the site of the Love Parade Music Festival in Duisburg. Reports say one end of that tunnel was closed off even as people continued to pour into the site. Emergency personnel were slow to respond after things got out of control. Pope Benedict offered a prayer for the victims and their families today at Castel Gandolfo.
Unserem barmherzigen himmlischen Vater vertraue ich heute besonders die jungen Menschen an, die gestern in Duisburg auf tragische Weise ums Leben gekommen sind. Ihren trauernden Angehörigen und Freunden sowie den vielen Verletzten erbitte ich den Trost und Beistand des Heiligen Geistes.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel has called for a thorough investigation. While the Pope is looking for some rest and relaxation as well during his summer vacation, he is also hard at work on a new book. We'll get details now from Rome Reports.
Benedict XVI is preparing the third volume of his work on Jesus. He's writing it at Castel Gandolfo, where he enjoys his summer vacation. The Pope spends a portion of his free time writing this book, dedicated to Jesus' infancy. Benedict XVI wrote the first volume during his vacation in 2003 and 2004. The second will be published in the coming months and includes reflections on the passion, death, and resurrection of Jesus. The Pope also takes these days to stroll through Castel Gandolfo's gardens. Benedict XVI enjoys nature in a hat and comfortable shoes, accompanied by his personal secretary, Monsignor Georg Gonswein. Benedict XVI also doesn't miss the opportunity to feed fish in the garden's small pond. The Pope uses these trips to pray the rosary before an image of the Virgin. Benedict XVI also uses these summer days to rest, pray, enjoy nature and writing, things he can only do 3 weeks a year, away from the intense work in Rome.
And finally, you'll remember Lady Gaga came under fire recently for dressing as a nun and swallowing rosary beads in the music video for her song Alejandro. Well, a secluded group of nuns from France has signed on to the same recording label as Lady Gaga. Amy Winehouse and Eminem are also part of this label. The Benedictine nuns of the Abbey of Our Lady of the Annunciation signed a major deal with Decca Records to record an album of Gregorian chants. The album will be called Voice, Chant from Avignon, and it's set to be released in November. Now, reports say since no visitors are allowed to enter their convent, a DECA representative had to pass the contract papers through a grill so the nuns could sign it.
Yeah, I'm told she went to a Catholic school here in Manhattan,
Yeah,
Lady Gaga.
Exactly. A lot of Catholic ties there, apparently. Stay tuned. There's much more Currents coming up. When we return, what is NFP? Clearing up some misconceptions about contraception.
Natural family planning is actually an umbrella term for a variety of different ways in which a married couple, can naturally work together to either have children or delay pregnancy.
Welcome back. Well, this year marks the 50th anniversary of the pill, and the Catholic Church is redoubling its efforts to raise awareness about natural contraception through NFP, or natural family planning. It's a way to plan and space children that is supported and also taught by the Church.
That's right, and many Catholics, though, remain unfamiliar with the process and how it is practiced. So to get some insight, I spoke recently with Dr. Phil Franco from the Diocesan Office of Faith Formation. Dr. Phil Franco, thanks so much for being here once again. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Natural family planning. Of course, this is Natural Family Planning Week, and for people who might not be familiar with natural family planning, tell us what it is.
Absolutely. Well, as the director of the Office of Faith Formation, that's one of our ministries in the office, to promote and educate people in regard to NFP, and so that's why we're very grateful to be here. But there's a lot of misconceptions about natural family planning. Many people think it's the old, outdated rhythm method, which it is not. It's actually a method that can be used between a husband and a wife to either delay or, in fact, to become pregnant.
So, and there are a lot of different, I guess, aspects of natural family planning. It's not just one thing. I guess natural family planning is kind of an umbrella term for a lot of different methods that might be used.
Absolutely. Natural family planning, exactly as you said, is an umbrella term for the different ways in which couples can monitor the woman's cycle so that they can work together in deciding when is a fertile and infertile time for them to be together sexually. And based on their needs of their family, they can then use that knowledge to either conceive or to avoid conception.
Yeah. And some people might be saying, okay, why does this fall under sort of the auspices of the Office of Faith Formation? Obviously, since it does, it has to do not only with the, I guess, the sort of scientific aspects of following the woman's cycle and all of that, but also there are some spiritual dimensions to it as well.
Absolutely. The teaching of the Church in regard to sexuality and sexual love between a husband and wife is that sexual love is a great good and it's a gift from God, but we can never separate the unitive and the procreative aspects of sexual love between husband and wife. In other words, sexuality is meant to bring the husband and wife together in love, but also to be open to the creation of new life. And so unfortunately, contraception and artificial birth control, they do exactly what their names suggest. They separate those two things. They use artificial means and chemicals, etc., to separate the true meaning of sexuality and really stop conception. Natural family planning is different in that it offers a natural means in which couples can either choose to avoid pregnancy for a time to limit their family or space births, and also where they can choose to find out when they are fertile in case they are trying to have a child.
Right. Now, this being Natural Family Planning Week, of course, this is a time when the Church is trying to get out the word about what natural family planning is. What do you do maybe year-round? What are some of the kind of things here specifically in the Diocese of Brooklyn that take place throughout the year to kind of get the word out?
Well, one of the primary things we do in the Office of Faith Formation is we offer courses for couples who are interested in learning more about natural family planning, learning the different methods. And as you suggested before, there are different ways in which a couple can engage in natural family planning. So we offer classes on the different methods. We also have a Facebook page which gives couples the opportunity who use NFP to discuss their experiences, both good and bad, to help each other, support each other. That's part of our office Facebook page. And really throughout the year, anytime we have a marriage event, we offer literature and other talks on NFP.
Now, how has this been received? How has natural family planning been received in the Diocese of Brooklyn? Are people participating in it?
Well, the percentages of those couples who are choosing to take NFP courses has increased, which is a very good sign. And I think what they're finding is that it's an excellent method, not just in terms of its effectiveness, because it certainly is effective, but also in terms of bringing the couple together. There's a great advantage over contraception because NFP brings the couple together. They work together to decide when the woman is fertile and when she isn't. And it's not just a matter of the woman's responsibility or demands, but they come together as a couple and they decide when they can and cannot come together sexually. And so the numbers are increasing, I think, because couples are seeing the benefits. There are moral benefits, spiritual, financial. There are many benefits of NFP, and they're seeing that. And the numbers are coming higher every year for people registering for our courses.
Yeah. Okay, well, great.
Yeah.
We'll link up people to some of the resources that are out there in the diocese for folks who would like to find out more over on our website, and they'll find a lot of different resources there, and we'll put it on our blog. Thank you so much, Dr. Franco, for joining us here once again.
Thank you.
And we do indeed have some more information there on the website for people to find out about NFP, exactly what it is. And, you know, Phil's right. I mean, there are a lot of people who have misconceptions about this. I mean, myself, for example, when I, you know, was thinking about NFP and sort of preparing for this interview that I did with him, you know, my mind kind of went to, well, the rhythm method, and kind of, I wonder if that's kind of the same thing or what the deal is. And so clearing up some of those misconceptions, I think, is a very important thing and a very important step that the church can probably take to, you know, get more people maybe involved in this if they wish to be.
Mm-hmm. And it's always a good opportunity to educate people about what is available and what resources are recommended in terms of what Catholic teaching is. And it's so different because it does involve two people that are married in the context of, you know, a loving marriage, the sacrament of marriage, and as part of that. And I think that it's a nice opportunity to let people know that this is an option and that this is something that, you know, of course the church teaches and feels as though is a great way to plan your family, like he said, either to grow it or to, you know, think about maybe, we'll space that out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
We'll be right back.
Coming up next, before Arizona, there was Virginia. How a crackdown on illegal immigrants changed one corner of that state.
A controversial immigration law is set to take effect in Arizona later this week. And in the days to come, we will be taking a closer look at what that could mean and the impact it may have. The Catholic Church has been critical of that Arizona law, with U.S. bishops calling for immigration reform that is both fair and humane.
Indeed, but Arizona is not the first place in the country to get tough with illegal immigrants. A similar law in Prince William County, Virginia, has actually been in place for 3 years now. CNN's Sandra Endo takes a closer look at how that's affected that community.
Fear still rings in Maria's voice.
What has the law been like for you, living under this ordinance for 3 years now in this community? What have you been feeling and experiencing?
Afraid. I'm so afraid. Everybody shares the same feeling. We're afraid.
It's been 3 years since Prince William County in Virginia passed a tough immigration law similar to the controversial Arizona law. Local police check a person's immigration status if that person is charged with an offense. Worry in the Latino community is strong. Maria's undocumented and asked us not to use her last name or show her face. She says she rarely leaves her home, scared of being racially profiled.
We can be all the time, you know, under the shadows, as I'm doing right now.
There are tears in your eyes.
Yes.
Because you don't feel free?
Because, yes, I don't feel free, and it's a really hard situation.
At Toto's supermarket, owner Carlos Castro says his business suffered because of the law. Regular customers fled the county and moved away.
People were also running some rumors that immigration was here at Toto's supermarket and, you know, don't go out.
Police statistics show overall last year 6% of criminal arrests were found to be illegal immigrants, and police can only stop to check a person's status if an arrest is made, not simply if a person is just stopped by cops.
The county hired the University of Virginia to find out the impact of the law. Preliminary findings show the illegal immigrant community shrank, but the law created discontent within communities of color.
It did create very serious rifts in the community about how people viewed the county. It's still taking time for the police to repair those issues.
Prince William County Police Chief Charlie Dean says he's working to build that trust.
We are very much committed to community policing, meaning that we understand, I certainly understand, and our officers understand, that we have to maintain the trust of all of the people that we serve.
Castro believes the heightened fear of 3 years ago has lessened.
Do you think it was a good idea?
Well, I wouldn't consider it a good idea because of all the pain we went through, but we have a safer community.
But for Maria, the pain is still very real.
People who think different than me should come into my shoes and feel what Latino people is feeling.
Well, Maria there was saying she's living in the shadows, and it's so hard because most of the people that are here illegally or who might come here are coming here for a better life. It's because their opportunities, either economically, politically, somehow, wherever they're from, aren't that great. And so they're hoping to make a better life for themselves here in the United States. And that's why the church, of course, has always maintained that the dignity of the human person should basically trump any law like this.
Right, but take precedence over any other concerns. And, you know, you also heard there something that I think a lot of people are afraid might happen in Arizona as well, and that is the relations between minority communities and the police and the law enforcement officers, that might take a hit and be very strained. And you heard that there, and a lot of people are afraid that the same kind of thing is going to happen in Arizona. So we'll just have to kind of watch and see if history kind of repeats itself.
We will continue to follow that story this week.
Indeed we will, but that is it for tonight's show. As we mentioned earlier, we will have more on the issue of immigration tomorrow and in the days ahead. But remember, meantime, we're always online at currentsny.net on the World Wide Web. You can check us out on Facebook as well.
And if you have an idea for a story or you just want to get in touch with us, you can always drop us a line at, and this is our email, drop us a line, all one word, at currentsny.net. Until next time, I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night.